any event, why don't we go on to the next slide. The primary objectives that the city has in connection with this TIF, again, is to stimulate the development and basically push this over the edge. This is not a situation where you have the city basically saying, hey, we need to increase taxes in order to fund this. It's not the case. In this first $800 million of projects, as we've stood before this dais and stood before the mayor and council and city manager, we basically have said, we believe we can build these projects without any type of a tax increase, without any type of a guarantee from the city on debt. And that basically is why you would create this type of a funding tool in order to push these projects along. That's one of the city's goals. The economic underutilization of the area, as I mentioned, there's a lot of people that are, all right, well, I've already got my insurance proceeds, I've done my investment, or I've got my insurance proceeds, and I'm waiting. And what we're trying to create is that tipping point to get it so that people are encouraged to continue to come into this community, not just from folks that have lived here in the past, but from other folks that want to come to Joplin in the future. To eliminate the blighted area, that's obviously one of the goals that the city has, and to accelerate the elimination of that blighted area. This is all consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, which is one of the requirements that we have in connection with this TIF. This is exactly what the city is looking for in its overall master plan. It encourages a full recovery of the May 22nd tornado. And I will tell you that, look at any city, look at New Orleans, look at other cities that have had an earthquake, a hurricane, or tornado. Generally speaking, that community never gets back to the pre-event population. And our goal here is not talking about how can we minimize population loss. Our goal, ever since the very first time that we sat down with the city manager, with the leadership here, is how can we blow through that population and make it so people want to move to Joplin. People want to grow their business here. And I have to tell you that all you have to do is just read the newspaper and watch the news as to why people want to come to this community. And it's because of everyone sitting here in this council chamber. It's because of the work ethic. It's because of the workforce that's here. That's why corporations would want to come here. And our goal is to how can we facilitate that from an economic development standpoint to create jobs so that that rising tide lifts all boats. Those are some of the reasons as to why this community is looking to do that. And then also one of the other goals that we have in the bylaws of the TIF Commission, it basically says that we cannot have more than 15% of the capital structure basically coming from the TIF. And as I mentioned before, we've got about $800 million of projects with about $60 million of TIF capital, which represents, as you can see, about 7%. So that fits within the guidelines that we have here. The objectives of this from a redevelopment plan is basically relocating, upgrading utilities, other infrastructure, as I mentioned, the capital that's necessary for that. Enhancing the tax base. Again, that's that rising tide. As we continue to grow the tax base, it enables us to be able to reduce the burden on individuals that are presently here by adding these additional assets. Promote the health and safety, convenience, increase property values in the area. I'm sure all of you bought your property not with a view for the property values to go down, but for a view for it to go up. And with all of this additional development, with the time value of money, new capital coming in right now, that's one of our goals, is to continue to grow this economy. And then stimulate employment opportunities, again, by attracting major corporations to come into the area. This is probably very difficult for you to